Oui, une petite introduction. Je m'appelle Maria Ferreira et je m'excuse d'abord de parler en anglais, mais je suis en représentation de ma collègue Sandra Moutinho. On avait tout préparé en anglais et je pense que quand même c'est mieux pour la langue française pour vous. Donc voilà. So yes, thank you for the introduction, and yes, it's very good to follow. So most of the information regarding the projects, these are the two Interreg Atlantic area projects that are funded in the first round of projects, and it's been quite a big achievement. So OceanWise, in fact, is looking specifically at one item, and that's the main difference, and that's how we actually complement quite well with the Clean Atlantic initiative. And it's, as you will see down there, most of the partners, or many partners, are actually common partners in the project. So that is also a very plus and positive development. However, OceanWise started a bit later than Clean Atlantic, so we are about 1 year in the development. And the coordination, as said, is assured by the DGRM from the Ministry of Sea in Portugal. And when we have the participation of partners all over the 5 country members of the Atlantic area. In France, Cedre, the University of Brest, and a small CME, Seabird. And as associated partner at the OSPAR Secretariat, the OSPAR Commission. So I'm going to go very briefly through, the focus of the project, our aim, our objectives, and our outputs. So we do focus in foamed polystyrene, and in fact, this is the first project that is actually looking at this particular item. And OceanWise aims and is dealing with this marine litter item in a circular economy perspective, and I'll talk more about that later. So EPS and XPS products are actually very common, and their applications mostly have a likelihood to become marine litter. These products are materials that actually are very commonly used to package fragile items like our fresh foods, our fresh fruits, but also IT materials. So you probably know what I'm talking about. And as has been said this morning, and we've been seeing as the statistics of it, I mean, this is one of the main items that we found in our seas. And in fact, one of the greatest problems along the Atlantic coast, and therefore is addressed here. But it all started and in the framework of our policies. And as we already mentioned, the Marine Strategy Framework Directive and the OSPAR Convention. And in particular, as Pedro presented this morning, there are 55 actions, in total 32 common actions, divided these 4 major themes. And one of the actions, the action 49 actually of the RAP, is about the elimination and change or adaptation of the products for environmental benefits, which is focused exclusively on the impact of foamed polystyrene. And for this action, Portugal is leading this action with Ireland, and that has been actually the driven to start up this proposal and to really work on this, because there's a commitment to get some results. So our goal is to jointly develop a set of long-term measures to reduce the impact of the EPS and XPS products as marine litter in the Northeast Atlantic Ocean. And we hope to do this, and we're trying to set it up by addressing the entire life cycle of the products. So our objectives, based on resource efficiency and participatory methods and the circular economy principles, we aim to identify the products and their sources, and the ones that are more likely to reach the marine environment and impact on our ecosystems. Another objective is to then propose and test options, looking at ways of reducing, reusing, recycling, recover, and alternative materials to achieve better environmental outcomes with different sectors. And one main important way of doing this is to engage the producers and engage the designer communities on the sustainability of the specific applications and to explore more ways of setting these circular models. And ultimately is to develop circular economy-oriented methodologies to assess new opportunities, barriers, and policy options that we can consider in our future and how to deal with these products. So at the end of the road, we hope to have a set of tools for managers, planners, and other stakeholders with tangible and concrete results on EPS and HPS applications. All in all, to have new knowledge and methodologies suitable for use, which are getting now even more impetus with the new directive, which is ready to come out, and in particularly with in this new directive in the single-use plastics, there are some quite clear actions, articles, looking at this type of projects, products, and the fact that looking at ways of reducing the consuming part of it, but also to restrict the market. And so in this way, we do believe that the work that OceanWise is actually aiming to put up front at the end of this project will be quite helpful in terms of looking at new ways and new alternatives to support the implementation of this directive as well. So how are we structured? I avoid to have these work packages, and so maybe let's see if we can follow. We are starting with a very strong knowledge resource hub, and here we're talking about the research, and we're talking about all the data being collected, and this is pretty much, I think we're going to learn a little bit more on the work that Cedre, in particularly valuable work, is doing. So Camille will introduce us with that, and that's the part we're really working at the moment, so building up this knowledge base. And then we are very keen, and we're setting a sort of ways, facilitating these participatory ways of engagement of stakeholders by setting up an interactive platform for stakeholders. All this information that we are gathering in these processes, we will analyze within these circular principles. And in order to actually bring that back to reality, we're trying to set up these living labs with the stakeholders at local level, regional level, to really address the practices in a more realistic way. So targeted applications and pilots in user communities. This will hopefully provide us with a catalog of priority EPS and HPS products and applications and their alternatives, which at the end will provide a set of policy recommendations for the management and use of these products and best practices, new solutions and alternatives for the industry. So our priority industries, products and applications range from, and as you expect, the fishing industry and ports, the fisheries, aquaculture, the seafood, fish and seafood boxes, the floating structures, but as well the food goods industry, the distribution, the supermarket chains, the food trays for vegetables, fish, meat, fruit that we deal with every day, the consumer goods, the appliances, and the single-use items, which are also used outdoors very commonly, sort of festivals and activities. And below you will see a range of these examples in the photos. So stakeholders engagement, as I mentioned, is one of the main parts in this, deals with also this raising awareness process. So we relied on a wide view angle and a setup of a multi-sectoral platform that hopes to include the governmental bodies responsible for the marine environment management, the industry and other key stakeholders, as well as the waste management authorities, the designers, the modeling of circular economy experts, and all the experts that can help engaging in participatory process and end users. For the moment, we are building this database all around the 5 participating countries, and this platform will allow to set up and develop some specific actions to promote and ensure the involvement of these different key stakeholders, because they all come from these all different areas, like the raw material suppliers, the retail, the suppliers industries, the end of life, the recyclers and the reusers, and the policymakers, as well as the alternative EPS products that we may find along the way. And for the moment, we have 994, as updated from last Friday, people in our platform, but it's growing. And the way of growing, and the way we are developing this, is to create and to set up these dialogue living labs, which are being organized throughout the Atlantic area, which means we have a sort of a step-by-step engagement with these stakeholders, locally stakeholders, in all the participating countries. So, for example, Portugal will have their training and first workshop next week in Lisbon. In Spain, in Cedre will be in mid-March. Then we'll be in the UK and Ireland together, the training. And then at home, each of them will have their stakeholders workshop. And in France is also being planned for end of June, beginning of July. And then the idea is to keep on engaging them. So first, training is to set up the agenda, why we are doing this, where we want to get. And then, on the second workshop, we will discuss proposals with the different stakeholders. So basically, it's really bringing from the bottom the knowledge that we need to combine, to compile, to align with what the scientists, the research, the data is also telling us. And then it will move on to a third workshop, which will be then an online interaction. So people then will have material that is online, that it can be animated, and that people can just choose and pick. Well, I don't want to advance much in that. I think we're still far away from setting that. But to share the results of the previous workshops. And then there will be a final one to actually look at what the results have we arrived collectively and together as a community. And the community that is dealing, that is using, that is producing EPS products. And those EPS products that actually shouldn't come into our marine environment and into our coast. So finding new ways of addressing them and using them. So in terms of process, I think I already explained a bit what we're doing, but yeah, we have these two sides, and we have decided, okay, this is within the circular economy, those are our options. So how do we prevent EPS from reaching the marine environment? And this is our marine litter perspective, our concerns. On the other hand, and if we think in the circular economy way, is how do we keep the EPS in the system? So how can we find ways that it doesn't get off our system? And so we have different options. We've been looking to the recycling, the burn for fuel, redesigning, policy incentives. So nothing is going to be left out under these considerations. So, and in the circular economy approach, as I said before, we will be addressing the entire life cycle of the products and their applications. And we'll integrate the circular economy principles from the early design and development phases. We also intend to do this life cycle cost assessment, which is a cost analysis of the different alternatives. And again, we will be looking at the different stages of their development and see how we can actually learn more about this and find better options. So at the end, we hope that with our process, which is a wise and realistic process of thinking these products towards sustainability. We come from very different backgrounds. We come from the marine litter, knowledge, scientists, but also the waste management, and the circular economy principles. We're bringing a different perspectives together. And we think that's a way we hope to really gain the knowledge that we are missing here. And we start from the principle as well that listening to the stakeholders all along the way, and that's why we have this process of engaging in 4 different moments, will help us to get the right perspectives we need. We want to actually avoid this typical thing of a project. You know, we got this funding, we did this project, we studied these things, now we sit on a workshop, we invite you once, this is what we're doing, and then that was it. Then we finish, then we all go home, and in the end we will get the report. Here, the process is really creating these living labs at the root level, but in these countries with a really the perspective of keeping a sort of engagement and keeping a sort of relationship that brings to all of us the ownership and the principles of circular economy that should apply to our work as well. So we should be able to keep ourselves engaged and involved. So this will allow us to check the reality out there, check the ideas we have about, you know, not all our problems are equal. Some plastics present higher potential for marine litter. Yes, no. These are things that we think we can get much more insight. And the work from the local to regional to national and this Atlantic area vision is really at the heart of how we hope to increase our knowledge. So this is our community, and this sign, and afterwards I think you'll have so this is the team, and this is the countries again, and this was actually in Cedre in the last meeting. It was very nice. And so with that sign, Be OceanWise, that if you scan that, you can immediately access the interactive stakeholders platform that is online, available on our website. And then there's more information about it, but I'm sure there'll be follow-up from our partners here. So, merci pour votre attention.